dans un webinaire qui serait certainement
This
super utile.
webinar
J'aimerais commencer par reconnaître
seems to be
que
very,
la plupart
very
d'entre
helpful,
vous
and I'm going to just
participent à ce qu'on
recognize that
appelle
most of the people
le
that are
truc sur le
participating in
territoire
this
traditionnel. Donc, c'est des
call
départements
today are
de
on the
l'Ouest Québec
Mi'kmaq,
et
Williston
Passamaquoddy.
and
Ce
Bessemer
territoire est couvert
non
par des secteurs d'amitié qui est fait l'Ouest Québec et
these
maintenant signé pour la première
lands
fois
are
avec la
obviously
couronne britannique en 1726. Les
are
traités
covered
n'apportaient
by a
pas la cession
treaty.
des terres et de ressources, mais reconnaissaient enfin les
Reading from
droits
a
des
text
Mi'kmaq
now.
et des Westaquois et établissaient des règles de ce qui devrait être une relation permanente entre nations.
This is supposed to be a permanent
Donc,
relationship
cela
between the
dit, je
various
vous
different
invite
nations. And
également
so I
à,
would
dans
also
le
like to
chat,
invite you
d'ouvrir vos yeux
to
et de
tell us in the
reconnaître le
chat where
territoire
you're
où vous
joining
êtes
us from
situé.
and which territories or lands you're
Comme j'ai dit, je suis
located
aujourd'hui
on.
très
So as I
heureuse de
mentioned
souhaiter
today,
la
I'm very
bienvenue à
happy
Marcel
to
Vienneau
welcome
de
Marcel Vienno
l'Association
from the
francophone des municipalités du
Association
Nouveau-Brunswick, qui va nous parler
Francophone
de
des
comment on
Municipalités du
peut mieux rejoindre
Nouveau-Brunswick.
les
He's going to speak to us
municipalités
about how we can
francophones
better uh,
à nos initiatives
reach,
environnementales. Donc, Marcel, je te
how we
passe
can
la
better
parole et
communicate with
merci beaucoup.
municipalities, for NGOs. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Merci Annika pour
Thank you,
cette
Annika,
présentation, puis pour
for that
l'invitation
introduction and for this invitation
partager
to
avec vous.
come and share with you
Partager
today.
l'écran
So I'm going to share my
maintenant.
screen
La
quickly
présentation, vous voyez
for
bien?
my presentation. Can you see it well?
Parfait. Alors,
Great. So,
comme Annika l'a mentionné, mon nom c'est
as
Marcel Vienneau. Je suis
mentioned,
le
I am
directeur
Marcel
des services
Vienneau, and I'm
membres
the
de l'Association
director of
francophone des
member services
municipalités
for
du
the
Nouveau-Brunswick.
Association Francophone des Municipalités du
Webinaire
Nouveau-Brunswick. So,
d'aujourd'hui,
welcome to the webinar. Today, we're going to explore how NGOs, environmental NGOs, can better collaborate with municipalities
pour faire avancer des
to
projets
advance
durables. On va
sustainable
voir
projects.
comment
So,
les
we're going to look
municipalités
at how
fonctionnent, quels sont leurs
municipalities
défis,
work,
puis
what their
peut-être
various different
comment
challenges are,
structurer
and
votre
also how we
approche
can
pour
structure
maximiser
how you
vos
can
chances
structure
de
your approach to
succès en
maximize your chances
collaboration
of
avec
success
les municipalités.
that is in collaboration with
Mon rôle de
municipalities.
directeur des
So my
services membres
name and my
de
role.
l'association
So here you see
francophone
that I am
des
indeed, I've been with the
Municipalités.
association for
Très
15 years
spécifique,
now.
on
So
va travailler
for
avec les
we've been working for
municipalités
several years with
qui
municipalities,
ont quand
and
même amassé une
we
expérience
do
de
have
développement
a lot of
municipalité. Donc,
experience
je vais
collaborating
partager un
with
peu ces projets
municipalities. So I'm
puis
here
ces
to share
défis.
with you what the my little tricks,
Donc,
tips
pourquoi
and
on fait ce
tricks.
webinaire-là?
So
C'est
why
un
are we
peu
doing this
pour,
webinar today? Well,
c'est un
it's
peu pour
kind of to
démystifier ça pour vous,
demystify
municipalités.
all
C'est
the
des acteurs
municipalities for you.
essentiels
They are
dans la
obviously
transition
essential.
écologique,
Well, they play a key role in the
mais ils ont
environment,
des contraintes
uh,
spécifiques. Donc, vous,
but
comme
they have
NGO,
specific
vous pouvez
constraints.
les
So
aider
for
en
you as
apportant
NGOs, you can help
votre
them by
expertise.
bringing,
Tout
your
d'abord, il faut savoir
expertise and your
comment les
support to the
approcher.
table, but you have
Donc,
to understand how to
je vais
approach
vous
them.
donner des clés pour
So
établir des
we'll give you a
collaborations
few of the
gagnantes
keys to
dans
set up
votre sondage
winning
d'association.
collaborations.
Vous pouvez
So a
voter
quick
avec le
poll.
gestionnaire ou
You
l'atelier
can
en bas
vote with
de
the little
l'écran.
using the little heart
Est-ce que
or the
vous
little
pourriez
hand at the bottom of the
réaliser que
screen.
vous avez
So
déjà
have
collaboré avec
you
des
ever
municipalités
collaborated
ou des
with
autres
the
entités
municipality?
provinciales?
Um, has your NGO ever collaborated with a municipality?
Quelques-uns, c'est le fun.
Some people have. That's good.
J'espère qu'on va vous apprendre des nouvelles choses
I hope
aujourd'hui.
that
Je
we'll
vois que c'est
still be
des
able to teach you a
règles
few new
qui sont
things
quand même assez,
today, but seeing as these
assez
are
logiques.
rules that are quite, well, they're quite logical, let's
Donc,
say
les
the rules.
municipalités, ils
So
interviennent au niveau de
municipalities, well,
l'environnement.
they obviously
Ils
work
gèrent le territoire,
on the
ils
environment, they
appliquent les
manage
règlements.
territory, and they apply
Ils
rules
financent
and
aussi des
bylaws, and
projets
they also
écologiques. Quand vous
finance
comprenez ces rôles comme ONG, vous
different
pouvez mieux
ecological,
aligner vos
they play an
projets
ecological role
avec
as well. And when you understand those roles, you can better align
municipaux.
your projects
Donc,
with,
comme vous voyez
municipal
à
priorities.
l'écran,
So,
c'est
as you see on the
quelques
screen,
exemples de dossiers
these
que
are
les municipalités
examples
vont avoir
of
avec
what
pour le secteur
municipalities work on and
environnemental.
what they're
J'essaie de
involved
vous
in. And
lister
for the
les plus
environmental sector, I
intéressants
try
pour
to,
vous. Donc, au niveau de
identify the most
l'environnement, le
important
zonage, au niveau
priorities, so
des
zoning,
terres,
land
au
use,
niveau de la
and
réglementation,
then in
qu'est-ce
terms of,
qui est
regulations, environmental regulations, there are
respecté dans
laws,
le développement
environmental
et
laws, regarding development, construction,
les
etc.
municipalités font de la gestion des déchets
Municipalities
solides,
also
gestion de
manage
l'eau,
waste and water water.
recyclement,
So, they have to obviously offer potable
municipalités
water to their citizens.
s'occupent de
They also take care of
du recyclage des
collecting,
déchets.
recycling,
Ils sont impliqués
and
dans la
waste, of course.
mobilité durable.
They're
La
involved
mobilité
in
durable,
sustainable
c'est
mobility, which
transport actif,
involves everything that
utilisation
has
des
to do
modes de
with
transport en
active
commun,
transportation,
tout ce qui est
public
l'électrification.
transit, the power grid, and also, of course, bike lanes, etc. And then there's, of course, energy and energy efficiency. Well, here you can think about sort of municipal buildings and GHGs. And then, of course, there's climate risk prevention, which includes protection against erosion and flooding, etc. So municipalities do have a lot of responsibilities, environmental responsibilities in different areas. And these are the main ones that you might encounter. We also have different obligations. Some of them are legal, some of them are non-legal. These are the ones that the municipalities must follow. I'll give a few examples here. So, for instance, well, with regard to contracts, they can't offer a contract without following the laws or the Public Procurement Act. So, depending on the amounts of the contracts that are involved, well, here we're talking about rules that need to have to go through tenders, or sometimes they can negotiate with municipalities. It depends what we're talking about here. This is one of the barriers, but here there are obviously climate action plans. I'll go over some of these regulations a little bit further on. And of course, there are provincial and federal environmental regulations as well, and we have to follow those with regard to distance from bodies of water and obviously chemical products that are used. There are also non-legal obligations. There's some examples here: asset management, GHG reduction targets. These are there are guidelines that are offered by that are put forth by the provinces, and then of course the municipalities have to sort of put them into action. There are no specific targets that have to be met. Non-legal obligations, it depends on the municipality. Perhaps they have a proactive vision, with regard to sustainable development versus the other municipalities that are perhaps a little bit more traditional, with sort of gray infrastructure and focusing on that. So when you're getting involved in these different, this can have to do with different projects that they're developing. And then, of course, there's different accounting standards in the public sector. For instance, the Canadian Institute of Accountants. And so, for instance, they have to make sure that they're accounting for different things in their financial statements. So if we want to incorporate, for instance, we need to be able to, these need to be measurable. That's another obligation that's non-legal and one that comes from the industry side. Okay, other obligations. Well, as we mentioned, other environmental obligations. So GHG reduction, we already mentioned that, but that's the whole question of sort of preservation or conservation of natural environments, and then adaptation to climate change. The provincial government imposes some targets, environmental targets for municipalities, so that can create opportunities for you because municipalities need partners to be able to reach those objectives and meet them. So NGOs can propose solutions and mobilize the community and access funding, on behalf of the municipality. So these are all different places where you can have an impact. I'll give a few examples, visual ones. So here you see there's a guide that's called the Guide on Planning Asset Management for Local Administration. So this is the guide that's used by all municipalities in New Brunswick. And so in this guide, there are different criteria or parameters, for sustainable development the municipalities have to adopt. Another example of a document here, we have the decarbonization plan for the province. So in there's also provincial targets and objectives, and you can benefit from that. And so the municipality can also have a plan. So in this case, for instance, is the city of Moncton. They have an integrated plan on community sustainability. So there are specific municipal targets here that they can use to see what specific places the municipality needs to focus on in their development. So these are public-facing documents. You can find them just by doing a simple research online or search online. If you'd like to have access to these, I can certainly share them, of course. So the next step, well, here we're talking about, well, in more detail in the asset management plan, the municipal level. Well, I wanted to show to what this might look like. For instance, there are goals and objectives with regard to sustainable development. For instance, for number 4 here, we already asked the municipality to prepare a list of risks related to climate change. That's quite easy, of course, for a municipality for that type of thing. For the second step, well, we asked the municipality to determine where the areas are where they can reduce their GHG emissions and to assess their vulnerabilities with regard to climate change. There, we know that municipalities don't necessarily have staff in place that are able to do those types of assessments and evaluations. So this is a place where NGOs can get involved and help the municipalities in developing these. I'm not going to get into too much detail here in terms of the asset management plan, but here we're talking about the provincial plan. There's a lot of things that are already underway to different municipalities, and all this work is these are usually prepared well upstream of getting them of launching them, if you will. But you want to look at when was the last when are they going to have their next development plan and integrate to help and you want to get incorporated into that process, of course, to be able to bring forth your expertise and the different nuances you can bring to help the municipality to see how they can develop these in different ways. So these are sources of that you can use as NGOs, these types of documents, because it gives you information about the next steps that municipalities want to take on. And then when we're talking about timing, well, this is a big issue as well. Often projects are sort of, there's a limited window to sort of get financing for them, etc. But sometimes municipalities also have objectives. So, at what point? Well, with regard to timing, we have to know when to approach municipalities. Municipalities function, they have budget cycles. They're quite strict. Each municipality can say, well, listen, we're starting our budget process on such and such a date, and we want to approve the budget on such and such a date. And usually it's in the month of November. Sometimes they can go beyond that and into December, but in December, they know exactly what they're going to do next year and they know where they're going to spend their money. So it's essential for you to anticipate and to submit your proposals that you have to the municipality prior to the budget preparation period to make sure that it can get into the budget, or you can negotiate this to be integrated into the budget. And if you're not able to, well, then there's a problem. There is, the flexibility will be limited since it's already been voted on the budget. That is, well, we know where all the dollars are going to be spent. So if you come in the middle of the year with a project, there's a good chance that the municipality didn't foresee it and they don't have any, money that's been set aside for that type of a project. So, in order to get around that, you have to go to the municipal council and, make a presentation to ask for additional money. But that doesn't mean that they're going to sort of print money for your project. It means that they're going to cancel or postpone a different project and sort of put things on hold to sort of allow you to, well, and then send it to vote. And then there might be some opposition or some pushback from the municipal council. And so, there are other projects that are going to lose their funding. And so there are going to be people who are going to be opposed to your project, of course, because it's going to go against their vision. And so it's going to be much more difficult to sort of free up funds that way. So the best way to do things is to do this upstream ahead of time and to negotiate instead of getting these discussions started, at the beginning of the year in the fall. Oh, sorry, that's when you should get them started, think about it at the beginning of the year or in the fall. So here's a strategy that I have up on the screen here. So you can, make sure that you submit your project around the fall of the previous year. And if possible, For the NGO, if you don't need money, for instance, to be able to deliver your project, well, if you're raising your own financing, well, that's even better because the municipality then doesn't need to prioritize it in their project or put another project on hold to be able to take on yours. That's the first aspect, sort of the timing and the financing and getting your project approved by the municipality. Then there's another problem that comes along with this, and that's the lack of personnel. Municipalities are extremely, have a lot of tasks and responsibilities that they're tied up with, and often projects require time and, need support from their staff. So it's no surprise. There are no surprises here. Municipalities, just like every other institution, just like you and like us, have a lack of personnel. It's difficult to find qualified employees. During these times of sort of a tightening of our labor force. So what I suggest to NGOs currently is, well, if you need to become partners of the municipality by supporting their personnel and their teams by using sort of an intermediary role between them and the population itself. So, you're sort of inserting yourself as a staff member, so they find that they see that positively, of course, because it fits into their goals and they don't the time that they're going to, attribute to their to these projects is sort of minimal. So then there's an even better chance that they're going to take it on for that reason. So organizations can also be catalysts by supporting several municipalities at the same time, on the same, with the same project. So you can offer, grouped offerings, so service offerings in terms of, you can say, well, listen, I have an example. Well, you need to redo your adaptation plans. And then if you want to, for the entire region of Kent, well, all the municipalities within that region, we're going to get funding to be able to do this. We're going to, prepare the financing application, etc. And then the municipality won't say no to those types of offers, of course. Here at the association, we also offer trainings to municipalities on different subjects and matters. And sometimes we need specific expertise on specific subjects. I'm an accountant by training. I'm not somebody who's been trained in sustainable development. So sometimes we need expertise, a local expertise, and in French at the association, of course, to deliver and provide training sessions and to provide assistance. So if this is something that you're interested in, well, I invite you to contact us and we'll be able to put you in touch with the right people for sure. So, how to build winning relationships with municipalities? Well, we saw that municipalities, do several different things on the environment, work at several different levels. They manage their territory. They obviously have ecological projects that they need to fund. If you know somebody at the municipality, that's always good to start with that person. Then we, asked you to go see, elected officials, mayors, councillors. Often it's the, management, there's a service, or, the communications directors. So if you have sort of a door that, that if you have somebody who you can sort of, that at the municipality, that person will be able to put you in touch with the right people. And certainly, municipal committees can also get you involved. So try to get informed on that front. Do you have any committees, environmental ones, urban planning ones, any sustainable development committees? Do you have any organizations that provide sort of expertise to those committees? So try to make yourself useful and try to insert yourself into their business, and usually they won't be opposed to that. So we're getting towards the end now, but in terms of the keys to lasting relationships with municipalities, well, try to be a proactive partner. I often say this, perhaps it's a little bit negative, but try not to be a burden on them. If you're independent and you have an operational plan, and you have the project and it's sort of already prepared, we'll mention it and, bring it to the people that you know at the municipality. There's nothing like a good organization for a municipality when you have clear objectives that are specific and that follow their municipal constraints and that won't add an additional burden in terms of, human resources or time. Well, that's certainly a winning recipe to to make sure that you have a successful project. You should also be seen as a strategic partner. We don't want to have to put, you don't want the municipality to have to push to get results or to have to keep. No, please, continue to, be to push and your project and always present, organized projects and show that you understand their reality. That's a winning formula. So tools to foster collaboration, well, there are different things that you can do here. There's different dedicated funding, in the municipal area. There's sustainable development plans that are available online for municipalities. There are municipal committees, but this is especially with regard to CSRs, and there can also be regional service committees in French. And so know that the municipal sector is also has its own specificities. It's similar to other sectors, but there's financing that's accessible solely to municipalities, and often they have access to that funding without the organization really knowing it. And the organization can, for instance, propose to the municipality, well, that is, I can prepare your application for that funding because sometimes they don't even know that it's available. So there's several funding programs that are accessible only to municipalities. And we communicate this to our members when we have communiques, but the people are busy. Sometimes so the person is busy anyway, won't go any farther than their email inbox. So I invite you, if you have any projects, you can certainly we can match you up with a municipality if you contact us, and we can give you the tools to do so. Or even with the funding, for certain initiatives that are sort of reserved just to municipalities. Sometimes this is funding. This is only available to municipal associations as well, so we can have, more of a larger project. So yeah, that's well, a little summary of key points before we get into the discussion. I would like to hear a little bit from you about the various different challenges you're facing as well. So, you have to understand how municipalities work and their operations, and we saw you need to understand. We saw how they work internally and what their different constraints are, and how to structure an efficient collaboration. So an organization that's well prepared and that's autonomous and that's aligned with their priorities will have a better chance than other organizations. So overall, well, this is what I had to offer you in terms of tips and tricks. This is the time for discussion now to see what you, as organization, if you've ever had any experiences, and if you've ever collaborated with the municipalities, and if you have, well, what were the different successes that you had, and what are the different challenges you faced? I'd like to hear with you and have a discussion now.